Everybody, welcome back. A couple months ago, I did the install of the Dasaita radio in my Tundra. And after that video, Dasaita actually reached out and asked if after, a little bit of time, if I could do a follow-up and show just how I like it, features and stuff like that. They did offer me discount code for both Amazon and direct through Dasaita. So those are linked down below. So let's just get into it and go over features I use and then some other features throughout the radio as I've played around with it more. We're going to do a little split screen here, just that's probably the best way to show the radio. So first things first, I do have my phone connected through Bluetooth for wireless CarPlay, as well as hotspotting for the other uses in the radio that I'll go over. How I primarily use this thing is through wireless CarPlay. And it'll take you through that Z-Link before going into the CarPlay. I keep it in this view, which is kind of the default homepage of just maps on the left and my music on the right. You can go into all your apps. And I use this a lot for OnX Off-Road. So you go in, I am blurring out my information here. That way, if you're out on the trail, you can, follow along while you're driving on a big screen. Back in the day, you used to have a big tablet or something like that. So utilizing this for CarPlay, that's my big thing, especially off-roading. Run through normal Spotify. I can't do it or else I'll get flagged for copyright, but it does play music. The way CarPlay works, it always uses your maps on the left side, whatever you have open last. So if I go into Apple Maps, and again, hiding my private data, so the homepage will use Apple Maps. So CarPlay is pretty consistent across most radios. It works all the same. It's an Apple ecosystem. I assume it's the same for Android using an Android Auto ecosystem. Initially, when you get into the Dasaita, this is their homepage. You have two options. So you can use their classic view, which does a map on the left, as well as music on your right. You can swap between whatever your music you want to run. I typically use Spotify. And then you could switch to their newer card format, which has these little widgets. Same thing, your Bluetooth. You use your preferred music selection. It does their navigation, weather, speed, shortcuts. And then on the far right, they have feedback. So if you want to request widgets, they do take that into consideration. The only thing that I've learned is with these widgets, you cannot remove them. So unused ones, I just move to the right and don't use. You can use these right here, have your speed, your weather. Down below, you can customize what you want showing down here. You can pin or unpin different apps. So you can unpin, uninstall certain ones. So I have the one button just to swap between Card Viewer Classic, and then I do my CarPlay, and then next to that is all apps, which then includes all the apps that are on here. You can have Play Store on, and that way you can add more that are not necessarily on this list. Mine did not have YouTube when I added on, so I went through and added that. That way if I'm sitting in the car or something like that, I can just watch some YouTube rather than on my phone, which is a much smaller screen. So you can go through and they have all their different apps. Some of them I don't use, but you can't remove them because they're part of the ecosystem, so I just leave them there. So if we first go into settings here, go into your features, general, so you can have auto return to home page if you're doing that, music, auto resume media after reboot, automation. So this is if you wanted like CarPlay to start automatically every single time. You can click in here and then find the app that you want to run. And then that way, whenever you launch your car or start your car, it'll turn on CarPlay or whatever right away. And then Novo is like a safety app, it looks like. They kind of give rewards and it looks like it turns into a game for safety. I don't use it. So you can go to theme and you can select the card view or the classic dashboard. It's the same thing as pushing this button here. It just toggles between the two. Display, so you can do a dark mode or a light mode, or you can have it auto that adjusts with your headlights. So I typically keep dark mode on all the time. I just like the look of it. It matches kind of the interior. So you can keep your screen on or off. You can adjust the brightness. So I usually have it all the way up. as well as your units. So you can do 12-hour, miles, Fahrenheit. General, this is just going to be your information about your unit, as well as you can update. Actually, I had a firmware update yesterday, so I got that installed. So this is the latest firmware. You switch your language. Valet lock. So if you're having valet where somebody can get in here, they can't get to your personal information, so you can set up like a password protect on it. Exit, this will be, if you have like a hiccup or something like that, you can reset back to the original factory settings. I accidentally unpinned my all apps button and I couldn't get it back, so I was able to reset it and it brought everything back. It didn't log me out of anything, so all my Spotify, YouTube, all that was already logged in. Reboot is if you just need to restart your radio for any reason. I haven't had to, other than trying to get that one icon back. And I'm sure there is another way to do it. I couldn't figure it out, but resetting it did bring everything back, and it didn't wipe the whole thing clean. It just visually it made it look correct. You can add your username, phone, email. I don't have mine set up. So under car here, you can set the make, model, year. That way it matches up with your features of your car or your steering wheel controls. So with this radio, the steering wheel controls worked automatically. I didn't need to do anything else other than install the radio. So you do your connections here. So that's kind of the features of the radio there. And then there's this other settings, which this I think is more of like the back end, because it's based off like an Android tablet. So it's the back end there. So you can set your Wi-Fi. You can do Bluetooth devices, some car settings here. So you can enable CarPlay, some steering wheel keys, amplifier there. We'll get more into the amplifier later. Going to your apps. I mostly do that for the wireless connections. Then you have Scout Maps, which you push it here, or there is a button down at the bottom. So either way, if you go into Scout Maps, again, I'm blurring this out just for my privacy, but it does show up. So this is their native navigation. You can as well, if you prefer Google Maps, you can run Google Maps. So again, blurring out my information, but it does find you. So the next is their amplifier. So it does have the whole equalizer. I have mine just on their rock preset, which sounds the best for the music I listen to, but you can go and fine tune all this stuff and get it to sound exactly how you want. You can have it set as different users. You can, speaker delay, I don't use that. DTS, so this is their rock. If you just want to adjust the bass, focus, surround, you can set it up for different things here, as well as the volume if you need different volume throughout your car. If you want the rear to be quieter or the front to be quieter, you can go through and adjust that, as well as a subwoofer setting there. I'll be honest, I don't know much on the frequency, but it does look like it has high pass filter, low pass filter. I have not touched any of that, so I'm just not familiar with it. So two other apps that it comes with that I think is important talking points is the gyro and the front cam. So if you go into gyro, I actually made it as a favorite on the bottom. So this will do your pitch and roll for just when you're off-roading on a trail. It does give altitude, latitude, longitude, gives you a degree of rotation. So if you're on like an off-camber hill or something like that, you kind of get an idea of where you're at. I would imagine it would be good too when trying to level for a rooftop tent. So if you've ever slept in a rooftop tent and on uneven surfaces, this would be nice just to kind of dial it in, get it close. I'm actually on my driveway right now, which is off center, so it's that's why we're not level. So that's a big one I use. And then I don't have it hooked up yet, but I want to, is the front cam. So if you're, especially in a truck, if you're on a trail and you are cresting over a hill and you can't quite see over your hood, having a front camera would be helpful, as even if you're by yourself and you kind of need that extra assistance, like spotting for rocks or something like that. I can see, depending on where you mount your front camera, I've actually seen it where some people will mount it underneath pointing forward, so you can actually watch tire placement on rocks, as well as just on the front, just to see what is in front of them when they're cresting a hill. I think those are going to be two great assets when off-roading. So, and if you have your hotspot on. I do have it switch between hotspot and Bluetooth depending on what I'm doing. It will disable hotspot when I go into CarPlay. So when I go and do it, you do have access to YouTube. So I go to my own channel here. I have the volume muted. So, and this just works like a normal YouTube app on the tablet. So that's a cool feature to have. So CarPlay doesn't allow it, but the tablet itself, you can get YouTube on it, as well as Netflix. So you can get Netflix on here too. So that's a cool feature. It will work off hotspot, so you need to make sure your phone or carrier does provide that. They do have the cellular option, so you can get a SIM card for it. I don't have that, but it would be handy just having it always connected regardless of your phone or service. Oh, and I did forget to say that in the theme, in the settings, so with the dashboard where you can switch between the two, there is wallpaper. So you can go through and set it to the mountains. And that just stays in the background there. So that's about it. I do think this is probably the best looking radio for the Tundra. Even when you get into the more expensive options for radios, I think the way that this fits, it's perfect. It matches all the lines. They did a really good job with that. I do know they have other radios for things like the 4Runner and stuff like that, that they have similar that's made specifically for that vehicle. It's not just a generic that you have to use a dash kit to make it fit. So I have been really happy with this. It's worked perfect. So I do know some people commented on my last video that had issues, but I have not had any of those issues. It's worked the entire time, other than me just accidentally losing that one icon. I don't even know how I did it yesterday, but I was able to get it back, and it's been working great. Yeah, if you have the 2014 to 2021 Tundras, I definitely recommend it. Again, the coupon codes are down below if you want to buy it off Amazon or direct from Dasaita. I've been happy with it. Thanks for watching. The other video did really well, and I'm happy that Dasaita reached out just for more, and that I can get you guys a discount code. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one.